This morning, Governor Soludo pledges to employ more teachers. Anambra State Governor's wife, Mrs. Soludo, calls on mothers to draw closer to their children. Striking resident doctors in Nigeria give notice of daily national protest. Train accident in Pakistan claims the lives of 19 people. Good morning and welcome to the news. My name is Uche Chukwu Ibanam. Before the news in details, let's take this message. Governor Chukwuma Soludo has come for a total turnaround maintenance of the Anambra State economy and promotion of core Igbo values. Let's give him maximum support for the task ahead. The member representing Agwata Federal Constituency in the 10th House of Representatives, Honorable Engineer Dominic Okafor, over the weekend celebrated his post-inauguration Thanksgiving Mass at St. Patrick's Catholic Church, Obuno, Ibuku, Agwata local government. The Pontifical High Mass attracted various clergymen, the who was who in Agwata Federal Constituency, and top government functionaries, which include the state governor, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, and his wife, Nonye, was celebrated by His Eminence Peter Ebere Cardinal Obaleke, the Bishop of Ekuleba Diocese. Staff reporter Emengino Sadebe, who covered the event, reports that a grand reception on his honor was held at the church premises.
In his homily, Cardinal Obaleke admonished the congregation on the need to come closer to God by worshiping Him in truth and in spirit, saying that no matter the level of sin one has committed, the church is there to make him a better instrument in the hands of God, calling for total repentance. The Cardinal, who congratulated Honorable Dominic for his victory, reminded the political leaders that God has given them the opportunity to close rank and improve on the lives of the people, advising all communities to put in effort in ensuring the development of the state. In his speech, the state governor, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, urged those who still have litigations over the election of Honorable Engineer Okafor to withdraw same and give him support for the development of their constituency. Governor Soludo, who promised to commence reconstruction work on the road from Ibuku to Ikenga, noted that government will commence rehabilitation work soon on the dilapidated Ibuku Museum to give it a facelift, restating his administration determination to sustain human capital development in the state by recruiting more teachers, empowering youth through One Youth, Two Skills initiative, as well as distribution of 1 million seedlings of palm tree and coconut across the state.
The last few weeks, we completed the distribution from last year to this year. We've distributed about 1.1 million seedlings, palm and coconut, all around Anambra, and to 140,000 households. A household with 5 of them, in 4 years' time when they start fruiting, that household will be making more than 1.2 million every year.
The Speaker, 10th House of Representatives, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, who was represented by Honorable Okudili Ezenwankwo, reminded the House of Representative member that the Southeast is disadvantaged in terms of number of representation and advised him to adopt lobbying system in order to attract federal government presence to his constituency. In his response, the celebrant and member representing Agwata Federal Constituency, Honorable Dominic Okafor, said the essence of the Thanksgiving Mass was to thank God for his mercy and a successful election to represent his constituency, while assuring the people that he will not disappoint them.
In everything we do, it is God's grace. And I believe one with God is majority. If I have that His grace, there's no mountain that I cannot climb. There's no obstacle that I cannot surmount.
Speaking to the ABS in their separate interviews at the reception ground, the traditional ruler of Ibuku, Igwe Alexander Ezobi, the chairman on the occasion, Chief Titus Anabogo, and a planning committee member, Honorable Dem Chinyere Mbakwe, noted that Agwata people are aware of Honorable Okafor's capabilities by electing him and advised him to ensure optimal representation of his constituency. Different traditional dance troupes featured at the event. From Ibuku, Agwata local government area, Emengino Sadebe, ABS News.
Anambra State Governor's wife, Nonya Soludo, has urged mothers to build healthier closeness with their children as a way to help their social, moral, and mental development. The governor's wife said this when she hosted female commissioners, wives of members of Anambra State House of Assembly, commissioners, and transition committee chairman at the Governor's Lodge, Amobia. In preparation for this year's August meeting, Mrs. Soludo has been meeting with different women groups in order to have a chart on issues that should form part of the annual meeting's agenda. Anambra State Head of Service, Barrister Theodora Igwewe, who was at the meeting, commended the Healthy Living Crusade of the governor's wife and noted that the impact will be helpful for not just women and children, but for everyone living in the state who is cautious about their health. The guest speaker, Professor Brian Adima, urged the women to take family planning practices seriously and to access birth control methods that works within available family resources, considering the current rate of indiscriminate birth increase. Also speaking, the Permanent Secretary, Anambra State Ministry of Agriculture, Mrs. Ifeolu Zoka, who talked about opportunities in agriculture, advocated for return to organic agricultural practices as against inorganic farming that is harmful to human health. Wife of the Speaker of Anambra State House of Assembly, Mrs. Chinyere Udeze, Commissioner for Women and Social Welfare, Mrs. Ifeolu Binabo, the State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Professor Silva Ifemeje, that of Budget and Economic Planning, Mrs. Chamaka Nake, the Transition Committee Chairman of Idemili South, Mrs. Amaka Obi, among other female public servants, were at the event. Some Transition Committee chairmen have promised to continue democratizing the solution agenda in their various council areas in an effort to implement Governor Soludo's disruptive changes at the grassroots. They gave the promise while giving account of their stewardship within the last 1 year they had been in office. Government House correspondent Valentine Badoa reports.
It's been 1 year since Governor Soludo appointed and inaugurated Transition Committee chairman that will drive the Anambra project in the 21 local government areas in Anambra State. They all faced different challenges and recorded many success stories, given the peculiarity of the local government. In an interview, the Transition Committee chairman of Idemili South local government area, Mrs. Amaka Obi, and her another local government area counterpart, Mr. Ikechukwu Ozo, said it's a privilege to serve under Governor Soludo while narrating their journey so far, given their achievements on security, education, youth development, infrastructure, health sector, among others.
If you work with you have to be serious. It's somebody that can work 16 hours in a day. So we'll be ready to do as he's doing. So, and we cultivated that habit that most times I will be in the office, go through their register, charge them, talk to them, you'll be expelled, you'll report it to commission. And before you know it, some of them started sitting up. At least so far, at least I can say that performance in Anocha is 75% to 80%.
He's a man of integrity. He's a man of honesty. A man who came to restore Anambra State back. A man who came to reskill Anambra State based on developments.
Also speaking, the Transition Committee chairman of the Nukofe local government area, Mr. Augustine Onyemobi, his Oyi local government area counterpart, Mr. Emmanuel Nweke, and that of Orumba South local government area, Prince Neville Uchendo, all agreed that working with Governor Soludo requires being up and doing, saying that much have been achieved under 1 year in the area of clean, green, and sustainable environment, agriculture, among others.
It will be a constancy that we keep Dunukofia clean and the green, and we want to beautify our place to be a synergy of cleanliness.
The government is functioning, the community is peaceful, developments are coming in. Nkolezunaka today is the fastest developing city. You know, a whole lot of things are coming there. Part of the general revenue of the state comes from there. People can go there and see, and people are moving freely.
The Transition Committee Chairman of Nnewi North Local Government Area, Engineer Chris Obiora, who has been in office for 9 months, also outlined his achievements to include massive road palliatives, drainage desilting, proper waste management, renovation of education building, ensuring of positive attitudes to work on the part of the staff members, enthronement of a more secured Nnewi, among others. They all appreciated Governor Soludo for the opportunity to serve their people and promised greater commitment in ensuring that Anambra State reaches the climax. In Awka, Valentine Bada reporting for ABS News.
The Archdeacon, Awka Central Archdeaconry and Vicar Anglican Church of the Pentecost, the Venerable Ekenechukwu Nwafo, says God created all for a purpose, desire, and design which will be achieved by determination. Venerable Nwafo hosted this in a sermon titled "The Church in God's Design" during Sunday service, said that everything on earth was made by God's design and through his power. Correspondent Amaka Chibuzokoe filed the report.
He noted that nothing matters most than knowing the purpose of God in their lives, because they are assignment to fulfill, stating that their riches, wealth, or position in life cannot lead them to anywhere, rather identifying that in which they were sent to do and carry out according to God's will.
Because soonest, all these things that our eye sees will become worthless. All these things that triggers us, that moves us from obeying the Lord, it will be worthless. What profits do you have to gain the whole world and to lose your soul?
At the Divine Mercy Chaplaincy, Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu Teaching Hospital, Amako, Awka, Reverend Father Justin Ezechukwu said that the season in which they are needs transformation of all, which will reflect in their daily lives as the church marks the feast of transfiguration of Jesus Christ. Reverend Father Ezechukwu asked the parishioners to seek God at the mountains of their hearts, personal altars, as well as chapels and grotto, where they will have personal encounter with God and stop running from pillar to post, and be transformed in all aspects, most especially be sinless and help one another and walk according to the directives of God, so as to seek Christ at the last day.
As we are going to the church with the apostles this morning, to transform our pride into humility, to transform our sinfulness into sinlessness, faithlessness into faithfulness. And this prayer is very necessary.
Meanwhile, the President, Holy Ghost Ministries, Awka, Reverend Ephraim Ndife, has challenged Christians to listen to the divine words of God. Reverend Ndife noted that when one abides with God's words, it directs and opens their inner eye to see and conquer in the face of difficulties, because when they are relying on it, they will be strengthened and blessed. He traced the biblical Abraham, Elijah, and other prophets who were obedient to instructions and directives of God, and how they excel, noting that if all should emulate them, there will be no regrets, failure, and mistakes in life, praying to God to bless his children.
We should know that those words are inspired by God. So I want you to take it this morning that anyone that is inspired by God is called a divine word. A divine word will take you from nothing to something.
Striking doctors under the umbrella of National Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, have notified the Federal Ministry of Health of their intention to commence daily protests nationwide. The doctors explained that the decision was to draw global attention to their plight and inability of the ministry and other relevant stakeholders to resolve the issues that led to the nationwide strike. A statement jointly signed by Dr. Oji Emeka Innocent and Dr. Chikezie Anthony Kelechi NAD President and Secretary General, respectively, indicated that a nationwide daily protest could commence on Wednesday, August 9th, 2023. A few days into the strike, the National Salaries, Income and Wages Commission, NSIWC, released a memo that indicated that the President, Bola Tinubu, had approved 25% salary increase for the doctors to pacify them to call off the strike, while discussion continues on other issues. The doctors, in response to the NSIWC memo, issued a statement rejecting the 25% salary increase offered to them by the federal government, describing the offer as paltry. At least 19 people have been killed and 50 injured when a train derailed in southern Pakistan, as several coaches of the Hazara Express overturned near Sahara Railway Station in Nawabashish, about 275 kilometers from the largest city, Karachi. Wounded passengers have been moved to nearby hospitals while rescue teams are trying to free people from the twisted wreckage. An emergency has been declared in the main hospitals in Nawabashish and neighboring district of Sirte. Videos posted on social media viewed dozens of people at the site of the accident, with some passengers climbing out of the overturned coaches. Federal Ministry for Railways and Aviation, Khawaja Saad Rafiq, is quoted by local media as saying officials would first focus on rescue efforts before investigating the cause of the accident. It was a celebration of life lived in godliness, service to humanity through kindness and peaceful coexistence with all, as remains of late Mrs. Rebecca Unako Egolum were interred at her country home in Enugu. Late Mrs. Rebecca, popularly known as Mpoloma while she was alive, was the mother of our renowned ABS broadcaster, Mrs. Uju Egolum. She died at the age of 91. Correspondent Kenechukwu Chukwudi was there and now reports.
During the funeral mass in her honor at St. Anthony's Catholic Church, Enugu, Reverend Father Clement Ufaro reminded Christians that death is a sure end for all mortals, which all must be prepared by living a Christ-like life, following God's teachings and commands, while praying for the repose of the departed soul.
Let Christ and listen to what He told us, to abide in Him so that we will be able to bear much fruit. And we shall abide by Him by keeping His commandments. And He summarized His commandments in one sentence: to love one another.
The Commissioner for Culture, Arts and Entertainment, Comrade Don Onyenji, who was at the burial to condole with the family, noted that while working for ABS and living at Enugu when Anambra State was newly created, the late Madam Rebecca Egolum was welcoming and a very nice woman to all, praying that God grants her eternal rest. The member representing Njikokatu constituency, Honorable Jude Apua, and Miss Amaka Opalango, an extended family member as well as friends and well-wishers, bore testimonies that Mpoloma lived a good life and sympathized with the family, enjoining them to take solace in God. The ABS family, led by Director of the News and Current Affairs, Mr. Gabe Opaleze, turned out in their numbers to console one of their own, Uju.
We are asking them to mourn like those who have faith, who are Christians. Because Christians believe that the mortal body is the one that is dying, that the soul is living.
Speaking to the ABS after her mother's interment, Mrs. Uju Egolum described her as an epitome of beauty, humility, kindness, and one who lived a fulfilled Christian life, admonishing all to live consciously and positively.
Epitome of beauty, and humility. She's a kind woman. That's why they are calling her Ochilos. She took care of all the people around her, even at Enugu, even Amobia and down here at Enugu.
Mr. Francis Egolum, one of the deceased sons, remarked that the mom had a beautiful soul who was welcoming and loved by all around her, appreciating God for the blessings and longevity she enjoyed. The burial ceremony featured condolence visits by family, friends, and well-wishers.
Before we go, remember that you can follow news and programs on ABS TV from any part of the world by liking our Facebook page at Anambra Broadcasting Service. Go on to subscribe to our YouTube channel. at ABS Radio Television Oka. Also, you can tweet us on Twitter at ABS Radio TV. We are on Instagram at ABS Radio TV. You can also log on to our website at www.absradiotv.com. And now the main points that made the news again this morning. Governor Soludo has pledged to employ more teachers. Anambra State Governor's wife, Mrs. Soludo, has called on mothers to draw closer to their children. Striking resident doctors in Nigeria have given notice to daily national protests. And finally, we told you that train accident in Pakistan has claimed the lives of 19 people. Governor Chukwuma Soludo has come for a total turnaround maintenance of the Anambra State economy and promotion of core Igbo values that's giving maximum support for the task ahead. That's all on the news this morning. My name is Uche Chukwu Ibona. Be good.